Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is a pre-market webinar for the morning of Friday, the 11th of April. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right, okay, we saw a big rally off the low on Wednesday, and we saw a retracement yesterday of approximately 50%, and we're on the way back up. I'm expecting to see more upside. I was writing about this morning. I think we have a window of opportunity here for a rally. Now, is there anything actually particularly to celebrate about? No, but that's not the perception. And mainly, this is about perception. So personally, I think it's silly to think that a huge amount has changed, but nonetheless, we've got a good opportunity for a rally here, and I think we may well see one. So we will see how that goes. No divergence on ES yet. I've drawn in potential level bottoms here. I think we could get up to the monthly pivot areas here on ES. Obviously, that would be at 5748. NQ looking pretty nice as well. Decent looking retrace, which so far looks like a bullish retrace to me. RTY. Bit more of a retrace, but then this has been slower off the bottom. Again, quite a nice looking double bottom there. YM, double bottom there too, 50% retrace more or less. And the thing is, after a move which is 9 or 10%, you will generally get a retrace the next day. Sometimes it'll retrace all of it. Occasionally you'll get some upside, but generally speaking, you will see a retrace. And that's exactly what we saw. There's nothing bearish in what we're seeing so far. We had a buy signal, obviously, which made target on DAX. Could this be a bear flag on DAX? It could be. But I think there's enough optimism around that this can carry on for another few days. After that, well, we'll have to see. It's looking at ESTX flag. We will see how it goes. All right, Doug, could you toss in a comment to see whether that's working today? It is working today. Excellent. That's good. Yeah, I mean, sometimes GoToMeeting has these issues, and they just appear mysteriously and then they disappear mysteriously. So without much of an explanation. Okay, right. Looking at the big picture. I'm leaning towards seeing a test of the daily middle band at minimum. I've got that on ES at the 55.75 area. Nice retrace yesterday, and I'm leaning towards seeing more upside from here. I've written a post this morning, so check that out. I was saying that, in my view, there wasn't actually a great deal to be celebrating about here, but I think some people are feeling celebratory because the tariffs could have been so much worse, even if actually, in practical terms, they're actually pretty bad anyway. Looking at SPX. Potential double bottom here. It's not a great setup, but I'm giving it some room here. Got some resistance here up at about the 56.20 area. I'm thinking we could see a decent rally, and actually, if people get really irrational, we could even see retest the all-time high. Although obviously from here that looks a bit of a stretch. But people get irrationally cheerful enough, then strange things can happen. Looking at the Qs, nice rally, made it up to the daily middle band. Watching this declining resistance, but again, I don't think the rally high is in yet. I'm not necessarily sure this is going to last more than a few days, but I think it's got a decent shot of lasting a few days. Looking at the 15-minute chart here, we had an RSI 14 sell signal, which fixed but didn't make target. We'll see how that goes. But obviously the RSI 5-1 made target. Looking at SPX, didn't quite make target there either. I am wondering if we might see a bit more downside, but I'm kind of hoping it just goes up dryly. Dyer, again, didn't make target on the RSI 14. Could be that we're forming a flag and we go a bit lower, but I was slightly disconcerted by how low it went yesterday. I wouldn't like to see it go an awful lot lower. Looking at the IWM chart, bear with me a moment. Okay, IWM, we've got on the 15-minute chart, we've got a pretty nice looking double bottom here, which is broken up with a target in about the 198, 200 area. And I'd quite like to see that make target, and I think it's got a decent shot. On the hourly chart, we did have a possible RSI 14 buy signal brewing, lost it on the last leg down. But still, it's not a bad setup for a rally. I wouldn't be looking really for a retest of any highs here on IWM. This is at a different stage. This was already in a bear market when we were still looking at a correction on most of the others. Looking at DAX, we've got no positive divergence here, but a nice little rally, and this is looking pretty good. This really came down pretty hard. It was very slow joining the decline this year, and the Europeans are still outperforming it by a lot. I think that might actually continue for a while. Looking at Nikkei, nice rally as well. We'll see how that develops, but I'm looking for nice rallies all around here. I'm thinking it's got a good chance of lasting 1 to 3 weeks. It's just possible it might actually last 2 or 3 months. We'll have to see how it develops. I'll be watching the pattern setups as we go, but we will see. All right, DX. DX, we've gone down. Not a surprise, really. We managed to break through 100. That's an important level. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed, and I've got a sell signal fixed on USD and other supportive signals, which are suggesting that we may well see a decent rally on DX here. ZB, we're almost back at the lows on Wednesday. Really, just from a pure pattern point of view, tuning out all the news, I'd be expecting this to go down. With the news and with all the politics at the moment, maybe it might go up, but really I'm leaning towards the downside, and at the moment we're not far off the low. It wouldn't be hard to break down. CL could be forming an inverted head and shoulders here. If we were to see a sustained break over 63, I'd be looking for a target which would be in about the 71 area. I'm skeptical about it getting that high, but maybe, particularly if this lasts a few weeks. NG, we've still got a potential bull flag here, but I'm wary about the possibility this might be breaking down. Hang on one second. So we will see how that goes, but I'm quite liking the potential upside here. So if we can hold these lows. If not, then we may well be breaking down back towards the 3 area and potentially below. GC, we saw a nice retest of the high. We had a 60-minute sell signal fixed overnight, and I would note that the previous one fixed and failed. This one could as well. I've got to say, this has got a... because we're having trouble in treasuries, that limits the number of options for safe havens, and I think gold's become more attractive. This could actually see gold going up a lot higher, and I'd quite like to see that. But as treasuries are no longer looking so much like a safe haven, this will make gold more attractive. Might actually even make cryptos more attractive, but particularly it'll make gold more attractive. Okay, SI. Could be a bear flag here. Watching this for a retracement, looks like we might see one soon, because this looks like a fairly steep rising wedge at the moment. HG, not far off the lows. Not a bad little double bottom here, although it didn't quite make a lower low on the second low. Could see a rally here. Bigger picture, I'm expecting to see economic weakness, so I'm expecting to see copper weakness. All right, let's have a look at KC. KC still got a nice looking flag here. May well be forming an inverted head and shoulders. A sustained break up over about the 362 area. Would be looking for a target in about the 405 area. Looking at sugar, looking less like a bull flag. I wouldn't be surprised to see this break down. Actually, on the bigger picture, this is all a right shoulder on a very large head and shoulder pattern. This could just break down to rally. So watching to see whether it goes that way. Nice looking double bottom on cocoa. Hasn't really done much since it reached this double bottom, but I'm watching to see if we get a break over 9,500, in which case we would be looking at a target which would be in about the 11,300 area. Looking at ZW, kind of looks like a bear flag forming on corn. We've actually broken up for a double bottom here. Corn's been the best performing one here, and soy obviously has been the worst because it's very, very heavily exposed to China. Corn's doing well though. Nice looking double bottom. That's broken up with a target in about the 513 area. Looking at soy, we've actually managed to do some upside here, which is surprising because I think 65% of the US soy crop goes to China, which has now got 125% tariffs against the US. So I dare say they're not going to be importing an awful lot in the near future. Frankly, this looks like a short. But it may be, there seems to be a lot of confidence that Trump and Xi are going to do a deal soon. At the moment, there's not much sign of that happening, but maybe. CT, we've got a rising wedge. starting to break down. May well be looking at some retracement here. We do have a 60-minute sell signal fixed on lumber. Potential double bottom here, and I'm waiting to see if we see a decent rally. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go down, but this isn't a bad setup for it going up. Double bottom resistance at 625. If we were to see a sustained break over that, we'd be looking at a target in about the 690 area, pretty close to a retest of these highs. Live cattle, we've got a potential inverted head and shoulders forming here. If so, we'd be turning back up about here. Sustained break over 199 would be looking for a target in about the 207, 208 area. And lean hogs, nice looking little double bottom, which is trying to break up. We will see. Not much move off the ground yet, and I would say that pork, of course, is a fairly big seller into the Chinese market, and obviously they're not going to be selling any of that anytime soon. We'll have to see how that goes. All right, let's have a quick look at questions, of which we have none. Looking at yes, I like the rally here. I've written a post about it. I'm talking about a nice window of opportunity here. I'm leaning towards seeing, and the pattern setup is suggesting that we see a rally of 2 or 3 weeks here, and I would like to see that. Could we see a longer rally? Yes, we could. And potentially, this could take us back up into a retest of the highs. That's a long shot, but if the market gets irrationally excited, and let's face it, we've all seen that happen before, then it is a possibility, and we need to consider that. Not really expecting to see it, but it's worth keeping an eye on. Okay, in that case, my pleasure as always, guys, and everyone have a great weekend. I'm going to be doing a couple of posts over this weekend. One of them is going to be on bonds, the other one's going to be on the dollar, and they're both quite important because they're both going to be big stories this year in my view, and I'll be including the charts and talking about why that is likely to be the case. All right, everyone have a great weekend. Take care.